Workin Wardrobe, stylist Arthel speaking. How can I help you? Yeah, I can absolutely help you with that, with colors. Color matching? Yeah, for sure. Oh, don't I know it. It's a disaster. Well, that's what I'm here for, to prevent your fashion disasters. I'll make my first episode all about it. Thank you for calling. Guess my first episode is going to be about color theory. Hey fashion faux pas, I'm Arthel Hayes and welcome to Workin Wardrobe, a show where I graciously answer your fashion questions and give you the historical 411 on why what I told you works. I'll help you wear your clothes instead of them wearing you. And by the end of each episode, your closet and your favorite clothing racks will hopefully be a little less daunting. In today's episode, our first caller asked the question, how do I know what colors go together? We'll answer that in my first segment, Wearable Wisdom. So, my caller asked the question, how do I know what colors go with what? And honestly, it's a pretty simple answer, color theory. So what is color theory? Well, according to the Interaction Design Foundation, color theory is the study of how colors work together and how they affect our emotions and perceptions. I could go on and on about how perceiving colors triggers something in our brain and how the associations we make with colors on a social, economic, and evolutionary basis are vast. But instead of getting all scientific and philosophical, I'll utilize my basic comprehension skills to give you all something that's a little more digestible. Let's start with a visual, a traditional painting color wheel. The primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. Mix these colors together and you'll get even more colors, being your secondary colors, green, orange, violet, so on. You may notice that these colors aren't all that we have in the world. That would be a beautifully accurate observation, as the hue, saturation, and value are all factors in changing these colors, as well as what colors they sit beside. An incredible display of that comes in the form of Joseph Alber's Interaction of Color, which includes 10 different color studies and shows just how complex colors and our perceptions of colors are. You've probably seen versions of it online, or the concept being utilized by those who make and indulge in optical illusions. The most common example of colors not seeming as they are is the white and gold versus black and blue dress from a few years ago. The color of the dress entirely depended on the version of the photo you were seeing. Had it been edited to be lighter, you were probably seeing it as white and gold. Were you viewing it in light mode, making the picture seem darker than it actually was? It was probably black and blue to you. In reality, the dress was indeed black and blue. Fun, right? Now, let's talk about the real technical basics of color and color theory. Remember that list from earlier, hue, saturation, and value? Let's define those. Hue is the specific wavelength of color. It's the color itself. Saturation is how strong the colors are. Highly saturated colors are vibrant, and desaturated colors are grayed out. Value refers to the lightness or darkness of a color. See? It's not as crazy intense as it sounds. Now that we know how colors work, let's talk about how they interact with each other. Colors can be split into two categories, warm colors and cool colors. Think fire versus ice. So red, orange, and yellow are all usually warm tones. Blue, purple, and green are usually cool tones. Although the undertones of a color can be changed when you start mixing colors together. Cool reds exist and warm blues do too. Now let's talk about basic color groups. Monochromatic colors are the same hue, just different saturations and values. Think grape, lavender, and violet. Complementary colors are colors that are directly across from each other on the color wheel. Analogous colors are colors that are just the grouping of three colors directly next to each other. Easy peasy. Split complementary colors are the mix of the previous two. You choose complementary colors and then include the color on either side of them. These next couple of color schemes can be hard to pull off, but I still think they work great if used correctly. A triadic color scheme is a collection of three colors equal distances away from each other on the color wheel. Oftentimes these are vibrant but almost childlike combinations. A tetradic color scheme combines two sets of complementary colors to make a four-piece band, and it's about as difficult to balance as a jazz quartet. Too much of all the colors makes it difficult to look at and almost overwhelming. You have to make one of them stronger than the others to balance it out properly. Okay, I know that was a huge block of information, but it can be simplified to a pretty easy statement. It's real hard to mess up color theory. There's so many options, you literally can't make a mistake without it accidentally being right. Now that you know about color theory, let me give you the 411 on the cool cultural history of color right after the break. Welcome to Who, What, Where, the segment where I give you the cultural 411 on fashion history. For today, we'll be focusing on both a bit of history and the psychology behind color theory and color associations, since it's difficult to talk about one and not the others. First up, color association. In the Western world, referring to Europe and North America, black is usually the color associated with death. It's why we wear to funerals and why goths love it so much. But in other countries, there's plenty of other colors associated with death. Kind of hard to imagine, right? Black just seems like such an all-encompassing color of death, of nothingness. But that's how other people in the world view other colors. In Eastern Asia, it's white. South Africa, it's red. Blue in Iran. Purple of all colors in Thailand and South America. There's a lot of discourse over whether or not color association is instinctual or learned, but studies generally agree that it's entirely a learned thing, which is exactly why the color of death and mourning is different across the world and across expanses of time. It's entirely dependent on when and where you live. In a similar vein, color names are pretty tricky to nail down. There's no one set dictionary of this color is called this. In fact, some colors didn't really even exist until they were discovered and named. Pink was known in concept as early as 800 BC, as seen in the Odyssey, but we don't have evidence of orange until 1502 in Tudor England. As for the history of color in clothing, oh, well, we'd be here for a while if I truly went in depth, so I'll mention my two favorite instances of significant colors in human history. The first is Tyrian purple. A long time ago, probably around 1200 BC, some Phoenicians discovered that you could make a beautifully vibrant purple dye for fabric out of the mucus of a specific species of snail. The problem was that it was really hard to harvest, so the fabric ended up being ridiculously expensive. In later years, sumptuary laws, or laws that basically said only true royalty could wear purple, were put in place, which is also why in modern Western society, purple is often considered the color of royalty. The second fun history color is shield green, or Paris green. Invented in the early 1800s, these two shades of green were extremely popular. They were two beautiful colors with a terrible downside that wasn't realized until much later. When they became wet, the chemicals used to create the vibrant color would react and turn into arsine gas. This is why these specific shades of green are called arsenic green. And fun fact, arsenic is really bad for humans. Thankfully, the problem was caught onto by the 1860s and new synthetic dyes that were slightly safer and derived from coal tar were developed. Truly safe greens didn't come around until after World War I. Don't go anywhere, Workin Wardrobe is up next. Welcome to Workin Wardrobe. In here, I will utilize all that I've taught you today to make an outfit that clearly follows color theory logic, and then I'll put one together that clearly breaks the rules, but may or may not still work depending on your personal tastes. After all, you gotta know the rules in order to break the rules. Let's start with the most colorful piece in your wardrobe. This is mine. The great thing about this skirt is that it already utilizes color theory for me. The main colors of red, teal, and tan are split complementary colors. So, pick a color from the skirt to wear as the top. I chose burgundy. Now, this is basically all I'll be working with clothing-wise. Next up is accessories. I chose gold with red accents along with red stockings, brown boots, red and teal bracelets, and gold bamboo hoop earrings. And that's all. If you like, you can add more teal or tan accessories, but I personally love the way it came out. Now, let's break the rules. Let's go pink and mix up the undertones. I say we start with a cool pink turtleneck, a warm-toned pink cardigan, and a pink skirt with both warm and cool-toned pinks. I'll wear gold earrings, but make all my accessories red. It's often said to avoid mixing red and pink together as they may clash because they're so similar but not similar enough, but I argue otherwise. Let's do red bracelets and red boots, as well as a gold locket with a red heart gemstone. And ta-da! A red and pink outfit mixing up warm and cool tones. Technically a rule breaker, but I adore this outfit just as much as the first. Thank you so much for joining me today in the Wicked Wardrobe. I hope you learned something about color theory, but if you didn't, I'll leave you with this. It's honestly kind of hard to break the color wheel rules. If it looks a little weird to you, don't wear it. The purpose of fashion is to wear something that you like, not what other people like. So, do what you will, and don't forget to stay wicked.